What's up guys, it's Mr. Isaiah here. So, drones are yet to hit the iOS live server. However, throughout all the testing that we've been doing with drones and the release of them on Android, and also, everything that Pixonic has told us about them, I've been able to compile a full guide to drones. I won't waste any more of your time, let's just get this really quick. So, from the left to the right, I have listed the drones in order of their tiers, their categories. This is basically how many microchip slots do they have, how much battery power do they have, and how much do they cost, and whether or not, of course, they have the built-in weapons. The tier 1 drones are the Sidekick and the Starter. The Starter is the small one on the bottom, and you will, by its name, you will get this for free when you start. This drone, I don't know how much it costs to buy a new one. I do know the prices for every other drone, but I don't think really, no matter how cheap they make it, it's not really going to be worth it to get a tier 1 drone at any point instead of getting a tier 2 drone. The tier 1 drones, there's also Sidekick right above Starter. Both of these, they only have 2 microchip slots, and they have between 4 and 6 battery capacity randomly generated. The microchip slots are randomly generated to either have A-type, B-type, C-type, or D-type slots, and they do not have any weapon-type slots. Of course, as they only can hold 2 microchips, they can only get 2 of these slots, so you cannot have one of every kind of slot on one of these drones. The tier 2 drones cost 5 million silver each. The bottom one is named Defender, and the one above it is named Fly. They both can hold 4 microchips, and of course, just like the other ones, randomly generate their amount of battery capacity and their microchip slot types. The drone blueprint. The tier 2 drones have between 8 and 12 battery capacity randomly generated, just like the others. The tier 3 drones, which are right after these tier 2 drones, cost 2,400 silver. From the top to the bottom, they are called Discus, Good Guy, and Sharpshooter. They have between 18 and 24 battery capacity and 6 randomly generated microchip slots. Finally, the best tier of drones is the tier 4 drones. These drones have between 24 and 30 battery capacity, of course, randomly generated just like everything else. They can hold up to 8 microchips, and 2 of them have weapons. As for the tier 3 drones, I actually didn't go over this. 2 of them also have weapons. Both of the ones except for Discus, so Good Guy and Sharpshooter, both have weapons. And as for the tier 4 drones, Wasp, which is the top one, has a weapon, and I believe it's the Eye, that one has weapons. The next ones are Nebula and Glider. So now you know what every drone is, but what does it do? Well, it does whatever microchips you put inside of it. Each individual drone doesn't really do anything unless you purchase microchips and install it into them. Some drones actually don't even have enough battery capacity, which is what you need for installing microchips, to actually hold one of the best microchips. Like the 2 first cheapest drones, since they have between, I believe, as I said, 4 and 6 battery capacity, and a tier 4 microchip costs 8 battery capacity, so it's not possible for them to actually have a tier 4 microchip. What this also means, though, is having these tier 4 drones that can hold up to 8 microchips, they won't even be able to hold 8 legendary microchips. You can't put all of the best microchips. So there will actually be a potential point where there's top tier champions who are still just using tier 1 microchips because they don't have enough battery capacity to hold anything better. I do think that that's an interesting concept, but anyway, what kind of microchips are there? Well, this is going to be the long part of the video. I'm going to say every type of microchip and every single slot. So let's start with the weapon type slot, because this is the smallest one. This slot can only be occupied by the 4 of the drones, which are the ones that actually have weapons available. Those weapons will not fire unless you put a microchip that makes them fire on them. This weapon chip slot can be one of 4 weapons, and of course, the microchip itself can be either tier 1, 2, 3, or 4, and obviously the tier increase will do better damage. The first weapon microchip is going to be the imitating rocket launcher. This will fire rockets. Then there is the imitating machine gun, which is going to obviously fire machine gun bullets. I'm sorry, it's not the imitating machine gun, it is the target seeking machine gun. There is also the imitating rifle microchip, which will fire like a rifle, not like a machine gun, and the imitating cannon microchip. So there's only 4 microchips in this entire ARMS controller type, which is what they're called, and they are only available as tier 3 or tier 4 microchips. There's no tier 1 weapon microchips. And I believe the only thing that changes isn't actually really the damage, rather the reload time will be decreased as you get a better microchip. Although I can't confirm this, this is not 100% certain. But anyway, so these microchips are there's no energy weapon microchips yet. There's only rockets and some sort of machine gun, so either cannon, minigun, or rifle. I don't exactly have the specifics on what the difference is. It's basically just the range. The minigun will likely be doing the greatest amount of damage, but have the shortest range. And then the cannon and the rifle will have longer range. And I believe the rifle will reload a little bit slower than the cannon. And the cannon will have 500 meters range with 5 seconds reload. The rocket launcher is actually not going to be like Columbus's, it's going to be like Orkin's, and it will have 350 meters range with an 8-second reload time. The minigun will have 10-second reload time and 500 meters range. And so, yeah, basically, the highest range is currently the imitating rifle, which has 10 seconds reload, 800 meters range, and then both the cannon and the minigun, they have 500 meters range and 5 seconds reload, and then the rocket has 350 meters range and 8 seconds reload. These weapon microchips, they can seem a bit confusing at first, they kind of are, but that's simply the way they work, and of course they are only available on drones that actually have weapons. My personal thoughts on these weapons microchips are that I'm not certain that they're actually going to be very useful. If you have a drone that has a weapon, then it might be a decent idea, but for me, the drones that are most worth it are the tier 2 drones because they cost silver. But these drones that have weapon, like, if you're using something like a leech and you have 4 storms, I'm not sure how much like a little drone shooting what's basically going to be like a light weapon to your side is going to do. It's helpful, I guess, but only if if your robot doesn't already have tons of firepower. So it really depends on how effective these weapons are, whether or not they're actually worth it. But personally, I think that like the premium price that you have to pay to get these weapons, I don't think it's very worth it in comparison to just using a drone that doesn't use weapons. But those are only my personal opinion. Of course, if you think that you want to use a weapon on your drone, maybe if you're using like a sniping setup and you want your drone to help you snipe, so you pick the imitating rifle shooter, that could be a useful setup. I think this allows a ton of customization, and that customization option is always there for you. But I feel that for majority of like brawlers, it's going to be a better idea to actually use that microchip slot for something that could heal you or give you more defense or buff your current weapons. Okay, and now let's get into the A-type microchips. The A-type microchips are also called attack microchips, and they will in some way help you with dealing damage to your enemies. The first one is the In Trouble Death Mark. This will give you 10% additional damage should you receive 50,000 damage in 5 seconds. You will death mark an enemy, and that enemy will take 10% additional damage. This is at tier 4. And then next is Lockdowner, which will allow all of your robot weapons to apply lockdown. Oh wait, no. So A-type microchips are not attack; they are effect microchips. Sorry about that. So yes, these will be the ones that apply effects onto your enemies. I think that this is the most powerful microchip type. Because being able to make all of your weapons deal lockdown, accumulate a lockdown on your enemies, that is extremely powerful. And you can also make all of your weapons suppress your enemies with the Suppressor Microchip. There's also the In Trouble Suppressor, which if you receive 50,000 damage in 5 seconds, you will do a 75% suppression on your enemy. And also, there is the battery microchip in this slot, and the battery microchip simply takes no energy, and gives you energy. So you can sacrifice one microchip slot to make your other microchip slots, better, I suppose. I believe Pixonic has said that this is the way they balance the A-type microchips. So if you want to have something like Lockdowner or Suppressor, then you're basically trading off something like a battery microchip, which can make all of your other microchip slots better. There is also Defense Mitigator, and while I originally thought this was like overpowered, like they're adding defense mitigation to weapons, this isn't actually what they're doing. It only affects the weapon on the drone. So if you have a drone with a weapon on it, and you have an A-type slot, you can make it so that their their weapon will mitigate some of enemies' resistance. At common, or tier 1, it's 10%, tier 2, 20%, tier 3, 50%, and tier 4 is 70%. There is also Anti-Acid, which reduces the power of damage over time that is applied to you. So whenever somebody's fighting you with a Viper or a Wasp or Sting, their damage over time will actually deal less damage to you. This only is available in Tier 3 and Tier 4, with Tier 4 or Tier 3 giving you minus 10% and Tier 4 giving you minus 20%. Then there is Freezer. This will allow all of your robot's weapons to apply freezing, even if they're not cryogenic weapons. This is not available in Tier 1, but available in Tier 2, 3, and 4. Your effect accumulation will go up with each tier, but I believe that your effect accumulation for all of the ones that just give your weapons straight effects starts at 0.5% and then goes up to 2%. So if it is one that is available in common or tier 1, then it will be 0.5. Tier 2 is 1%. Tier 3 is 1.5%, and tier 4 is 2% accumulation. 2%, if you get how that works, basically 2% accumulation will make it so that every time you hit the enemy with any shot, so if you're using like an igniter, a single igniter on a Kozak, and that Kozak has a drone supporting it that has a freezer microchip on it, and you have the tier 4 freezer microchip, your igniter will have to hit somebody for exactly 50 damage ticks to actually apply the freeze effect or the suppression effect or the lockdown effect. There's also Control Resistor in the effect slot, which will reduce how fast effects will accumulate on your robot. So like it will take more shots with a Corona or a Pulsar or whatever to actually lock you down. At tier 1 it's 5% less, at tier 2 it's 10%, at tier 3 it's 20%, and at tier 4 it is 30%. And then there is the In Trouble Freezer. Should you receive 50,000 damage within 5 seconds, the enemy that you're targeting will receive the freeze effect. Acid Sprayer. This will allow all of your weapons to deal damage over time. The damage over time numbers are not exactly listed, so I am not certain of what the damage over time numbers will be, but this is not available in Tier 1, so Tier 2, 3, and 4, you can get that Acid Sprayer, and you'll be able to deal corrosive damage with any weapon. Okay, and now Type B microchip, which these Type B microchips, these are the attack microchips. There's the Raging Intensifier, which makes it so that if Battleborn is active, you gain more damage for 10 seconds. So Battleborn is for 20 seconds, so half of the time that your Battleborn is active, you're going to get increased damage. This is available in tier 2, tier 3, and tier 4, with at tier 2 giving you 10% more damage. Tier 3 giving you 20% more damage, and Tier 4 giving you 30% more damage. Then the Inhibited Intensifier, which will make it so that if you are locked down, you will be dealing more damage. At Tier 2 is 5%, Tier 3 is 12%, and Tier 1 is 15%. You will not actually be able to get this in Tier 1. Then the Modulative Intensifier. This will make it so that if you ever use a module, you do more damage. I feel like that this is something that you wouldn't want to use if you're running Phase Shift, because you cannot do any damage in Phase Shift. But this is available in Tier 2 through Tier 4. 5% at Tier 2, 12% at Tier 3, and 15% at Tier 4. Then there is the Hot Intensifier. Which means as long as your robot is immune to the freeze effect, meaning the freeze effect has worn off of you, and you can no longer be frozen for the 5-second grace period, you will get more damage. And it's the same values, there's no tier 1 microchip, and you can get this at 5%, 12%, and 15% extra damage through the other tiers. Then the Struggling Intensifier. If Last Stand is active, you will deal more damage, with at Tier 2 dealing 10% more damage, Tier 3 dealing 20% more damage, and Tier 4 dealing 30% more damage. Then there is the Revival Intensifier. After you use Repair Unit or Advanced Repair Unit, you will gain increased output damage, with Tier 3 giving you 5% and Tier 4 giving you 8%. These cannot be available in are not available in Tier 2 or Tier 1. I originally thought that this one was a little bit odd because there's also Modulative Intensifier, which just makes you do more damage if you use a module, but this one you have to use a specific module and you're actually dealing less damage than Modulative Intensifier. I think it's possible that there's two things here. Either this is meant to be used in conjunction with Modulative Intensifier, so you'll actually get this on top of the Modulative Intensifier bonus, or these are just stupid test server numbers and they're not correct. Next is the Remissive Intensifier. When the suppression effect, if you are suppressed, if the suppression effect expires from you, you'll be dealing more damage for 5 seconds, with at Tier 2, 5%, Tier 3, 12%, and Tier 4, 15%. The Provocative Intensifier. As long as you're immune to suppression effect, you'll be dealing more damage. For 5% at Tier 2, Tier 2, 12% at Tier 3, 15% at Tier 4. I'm not sure why this exists alongside the other one, so I suppose it's so that you can stack them and you basically get a ton of burst damage after being suppressed, which is very interesting, and I wonder how that will actually work out. The Liberating Intensifier. Oh my god, I don't know how to talk. As long as the robot is immune to the lockdown effect, you'll get increased output damage. So after being locked down, you'll have that 5 seconds where you can't be locked down. In this time, you get more damage. At Tier 2, getting 5%, Tier 3, 12%, and Tier 4, 15%. And now onto C-type microchips, which are defense microchips. In the C-type microchip, we have the Rechargeable Wreckage Defender. When your durability falls below 50%, your defense system will be increased, giving you more defense points. There are not any exact numbers here, I believe. I think it's 10%, or not 10%, 10 defense point? Yeah, okay. These numbers are very subject to change, but for tier 2, there's 10 defense points. Tier 3 is 20, and Tier 4 is 25, with a cooldown time of 10 seconds, meaning if you heal up past 50%, you can actually do this again as long as the cooldown time has passed. The Revival Defender. This is just like the Revival I don't know the other one for the other microchip, for the B-type microchips, the attack microchip that gave you more damage when you heal. This one will give you more defense when you heal. So should you use a repair unit or advanced repair unit, your defense system will be increased, your defense points will be increased for 10 seconds, giving you at tier 2 10 defense points, tier 3 20 defense points, and tier 4 25 defense points. The Chilling Defender. If the freeze charge on your robot reaches 50%, which means if you are hit with cryo weapons enough or whatever gives you freeze enough that you are halfway to actually being totally frozen, you'll get increased defense points for 5 seconds. 15 defense points at tier 2, 25 at tier 3, and 35 at tier 4. This will last 5 seconds, and the ability's duration, 10 seconds, okay. The Cooling Defender. When your robot ability goes on cooldown, so after you've used your ability, obviously, you will gain defense points for 10 seconds. At tier 3, or at tier 2, there is 10 defense points, tier 3 is 20, and tier 4 is 25. I think this would be very interesting to use it on a robot that has a cooldown of 10 seconds or less, so basically you always have some sort of ability up helping you stay alive. The Inhibited Defender. So long as lockdown is applied onto you, you will gain defense points at tier 1, 15, tier 2, 25, tier 3, 45, and tier 4, 60. So basically, whenever you're locked down, you're just really hard to kill. Appeased Defender. As long as you are suppressed, you'll gain more defense points. This is at the same values from tier 1 to tier 4 as the other one, so 15 defense points, 25, 45, and 60. Rechargeable Emergency Defender. When your durability falls between 30%, you get more defense points. So tier 1, 10, then 25, then 40, and then 55 defense points. Halting Defender. If lockdown charge on you reaches 50%, you'll get more defense points. At tier 3, 15, or tier 2, 15, then 3, 25, and then 4, 35. Same thing as the freezing rockets. When you are halfway to being locked down, you will get more defense points. And finally, the Repair and Shield microchips on the D-type slot. The Crashing Repairer. If your robot takes over 100,000 damage in 5 seconds, you get healed. There are, I believe so, at tier 1, these numbers are also very subject to change. Just remember, everything here is subject to change. Tier 1, you will receive 15,000 healing. Tier 2, you'll receive 30,000 healing. After tier 2, onto tier 3, you will be healed on a percent basis. So 25% of your health will be healed on tier 4, and 40% will be healed on, no, tier 3, sorry, and 40% will be healed on tier 4. Phasing Repairer. This will heal you as soon as you exit phase shift, at 5% at tier 2, 8% at tier 3, and 12% at tier 4. Rechargeable in Trouble Repairer. If you receive over 50,000 damage in 5 seconds, you get a part of your health back. 5% for tier 2, 8% for tier 3, and 15% for tier 4. Rechargeable Emergency Repairer. If your durability falls below 30%, a portion of your health gets repaired. I believe this was just said again. I suppose you'll be able to stack them or something. Again, very subject to change. But it seems that you'll get 10,000 healing for tier 2, 15,000 for tier 3, and 25,000 for tier 4. Next, the Rechargeable Reconstructive Repairer, which increases the efficiency of a received repair so long as the received repair gives you more than 20,000 durability over 3 seconds. Tier 1, you'll get 10,000. At tier 2, you'll get 20,000. At tier 3, you get 20%. And tier 4, you get 45%. Again, these are test server numbers. They're definitely going to be very skewed a little bit. This is just to give you an idea of what they're going to do. Although they might seem something like this. The reason I believe that this requires you to receive more than 20,000 durability over 3 seconds is because I feel like people, if this was not in place, would just use this to make mechanic really strong. And those are all of the current microchips in that have existed in the test server and will likely be making it into the live server. Now, I hope that that helped you, and now I'm going to just give you what I think I will be doing when the drones come out, and how I'm going to basically work my setup. Because drones have been a long time coming, and I'm really not sure, they're going to be expensive. I've been stockpiling a lot of gold so that I'd be able to purchase some microchips. So basically, since I haven't got much gold to work with, I'm not going to be able to get anything over tier 2. Knowing that these tier 2 robots or drones only cost 5 million silver, and I also have quite a bit of silver, I will be able to buy 5 of these drones, and I will likely buy 5 defenders because I think he looks pretty cool. There's also Fly. Fly looks pretty cool, but that purple stands out quite a bit, so I think I'm going to get Defender. Defender. I also I wish if I had enough, I'd really want to get Discus. I think Discus looks really cool, but either way, for what I plan on doing, I'm not really going to need anything more than a tier 2. In order to save gold, I'm basically going to get the tier 2, and I'm going to put a single tier 4 microchip on it. That's really all I want to go for just to start. The microchips work basically just the same as the pilot purchasing screen, where you can basically hire them. You can hire pilots there, and you can change them with 50 gold, and there's only 3 that appear at a time. And I'm going to be looking for the Suppressor Microchip. I think that is one of the better microchips, although there's a couple others that I think are pretty interesting, but Suppressor seems like one of the best ones, being able to make it so that your enemies just can't hurt you. That sounds like a really cool concept, I suppose. So Suppressor Microchip, considering how much the Defender drone actually has, which is between 8 and 12 battery capacity, I'll be able to take, if I get them at 8 battery capacity, I'll be able to hold 1 tier 4 microchip. If I get them at 12, I could hold a tier 4 and a tier 3, which is long-term what I would like to do. If you have a lower budget or a higher budget, you can definitely do a lot more with these, but with my budget, that is what I think that I'm going to go for. Maybe later in the future, I think that the Discus Drone is very interesting. Honestly, maybe if I get my hands on a little bit more gold, it wouldn't be unreasonable for me to actually just get the Discus Drone, and I could get 5 of those, although they're very expensive in gold, and I would not be able to put really any microchips on them. So I'd basically just be, with no gold and just sitting there waiting for me to get enough gold to buy any microchips. So right now, the Defender does look like the best option. The Discus also looks very interesting, but again, I feel like buying higher tier drones is just feels like a pretty bad idea as a whole. Because if you're buying these high tier drones and you get one that has the lower amount of battery capacity, what are you gonna do? You're not gonna spend another 2,400 to 6,000 gold just to replace it. With the Defender drone, 5 million silver really isn't that much. I could probably sell it for 1 million silver or something like that and recover that amount, and then just buy another one, and I could keep doing that until I get good microchips. But 2,400 gold to 6,000 gold, that's a lot of gold. So it's definitely very luck of the draw when it comes to those, so I really don't know how that would go. But as it is right now, I think that really the best option for most low-paying, free-to-play, Dolphin, Minnow, whatever players is just to get a Tier 2 drone and find a couple microchips that you like and put them on it and run that. And maybe further down the line you could get some other drones, but that's just what I think. Anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. This has been Mr. Adazahi, and I will catch you on the flip side. Oh, and also, actually, before I catch you on the flip side, I think that it would be a good idea for me to talk about combining microchips in this video. Combining microchips is definitely a more complex situation because this is not, Pixonic has not really talked much about this, but from what I've seen and from what Pixonic has shown in all of the drone videos and such, it seems basically what you can do here is take you could take 15 tier 1 microchips and combine all of them together, and they all have to be tier 1 microchips of the same slot. So like they have to be all A type or B type or C type, whatever. You can't mix them. And then when you combine them, you can either combine them for 50 gold or with one advertisement for free, and it will give you a random microchip for that slot. I'm gonna say it right here. The combination feature is complete shit, and I'm not gonna use it. That is terrible. You're just taking a bunch of these things that you want, and you're getting a random one for 50 gold. That's so stupid. I will never do that. I'm going to just buy mine directly from the shop if I can. I don't know exactly how the tier 2 and the tier 3, because there's different slots, like, so maybe for tier 2 you won't have to use 15, and for tier 3 like you only have to use 2 or something, and it'll probably definitely cost a lot more gold to combine them. So it's really just that's how it depends how it's going to be, but I can tell you for tier 1 and just in general, it looks like such a stupid feature. It's kind of a worthless feature in my opinion. They just don't need, like, if they're going to add it in that way, they shouldn't have added it at all. That's so bad. Like, I don't want to go off and vent way too much in this video, but that is a horrific feature. I strongly advise nobody uses it, because you could have 15 microchips of a tier 1 of some microchip that you want. For example, like, I don't know, Suppressor Microchip. I don't think that's available for tier 1, but if you have it at tier 1 and then you put 15 Suppressor Microchips in, or a bunch of random microchips, and then you get like a in trouble something, one of those ones that applies like a death mark whenever you take more damage or something. I just think that's so pointless. It's a dumb feature, but if you wish to use it, that's how you use it. It's completely randomly generated. So many things of drones are completely randomly generated, and I really don't like how that is. They said that they plan on adding more ways to like re-roll drones other than just like buying the whole thing. Again, I don't really. It doesn't matter. It's randomly generated, and there's no getting around it. But that's how it is. Anyway, now, my name has been Mr. Adazahi. I will catch you on the flip side.